if we don't tell our stories, they're not going to be told accurately. And it's empowering to know that I have people out there that I can still go to for guidance, and I'm very, truly grateful to each and every one of them.
Hi, I'm Kimberlie Acosta on IndianCountryTV.com, and we're here at Lyles Point on the Columbia River with Darla Leslie, the newly elected president of the Native American Journalists Association. You want to share with us where you're from?
I am a member of the Klickitat tribe, which is one of the 14 bands which makes the Yakama Nation. When we signed the Treaty of 1855, they took all 14 of us and bound us to one clan, which is the Yakama Nation now, today.
And you started out in journalism quite a few years ago as a student coming to the NAJA. And did you ever imagine back then that you'd become the president?
Actually, growing up with these people, they had a lot of high expectation. And I guess at this point in my life, I never expected nothing less. They had a lot of, they reared me really good.
How many years ago was that?
When I first met Richard, I met him at Tempe, Arizona in 1998 when I was a student to my first project. I was at college, and not knowing him and Kara Briggs were both Yakamas, that's why I met both of them, and we kind of took off from there.
Can you share with us your mentors in journalism?
My main one was Richard LaCourse, and reason being is because when I first met this man, when I figured out he was Yakama, he inspired me greatly when I listened to him talk, and when I listened how courageous he was as a journalist. He was very passionate, and when I would talk to him, it was almost like I couldn't take my eyes off him because he was so passionate about the things that he taught me, and very, very just courageous, the things that he's seen, the things that he's done, the way he carried himself, how he stood up for everything he believed in. And he told me that you stand up for what you believe in, because if you don't, who will? And with all them kind of things, it's carried me a long way. Richard, here's a funny story that I'd love to share with you. There was a couple of times where, he reared me in a way where I thought he was mean and wondered, why doesn't this man like me, and always thought he didn't like me initially after I first started working with him, until the last time he made me cry. I stood up to him finally, and, I won't say what I said that day, but everybody knows Richard, and so I'll leave it at that. But when he did it, when I stood up to him, he walked away, and I swear he was laughing at me, and a part of me was like, I can't believe this man, but that day he looked at me and he said, congratulations. And for the longest time, I thought, well, what are you congratulating me for? You just broke my heart, what are you? But come to find out, it was something that I have to be able to maintain and carry as a journalist, because this job is nowhere near being easy. It's something that you seriously have to strive for, and you have to be able to have a strong heart, be courageous enough to ask the tough questions, and he did that for me. He led me into the direction that I don't think anybody else could have at that point, but his passion that he had for journalism and the things that he laid out for Native journalists, he always told me why they were so important and why they needed to be maintained. And so here I am, from a student to a 4-year mentor. Well, I was a 2-year student, 4-year mentor, and now I'm the president. And so, going back, and even last year, Minnie Two Shoes, very inspirational woman. And, initially when everybody meets Minnie, they're kind of like, whoa, she's kind of out there a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I've known Minnie for 20 years.
But she did that for a reason, and that's what she always told me, too, is nobody likes an uptight individual. Be calm, cool, collective, and make a point, but the way they said it it was a lot more meaningful for me as a student coming up.
And you work for the Yakama newspaper, correct?
Right. 10 years later, I'm still sitting where Richard LaCourse once sat. I interned with him there for a full year while I was going to college at YVCC, Yakama Valley Community College.
Today we're on the Klickitat Falls, and you were fishing for salmon. Can you share with us about that, where that represents in your culture?
Typically, a lot of the guys around here will start it that way. They always tell us, you women need to know your place, kind of stuff, and because me and my sisters and a lot of my cousins who are also women were some of the few that fish down here with the men. And but the way I was raised on this beautiful river behind us, we were taught how to fish this river since we were all little kids, and now our kids are starting to learn how to fish out here. And it's all about being a Klickitat. Growing up on this river, you have to know how to fish. That's how we survived. A lot of people still today survive off the salmon, and so my dad, they all live down here. They fish as much as they can year long, and my dad don't leave this in loose sight, and it's because it's where his heart belongs.
Share with us, how can you tell? Explain to us the whole fishing process when you guys are out there.
When I come home and I fish, it empowers me. I get down on that scaffold and I feel like I have a whole new heart. And when I feel that water touch my hands and I start flipping that pole around, it brings back memories, a lot of memories. Before they put that fish ladder in down there, we grew up there. We literally grew up there. And I got a lot of cousins on this river that still live here and still grow up down there today. But it's wild. A lot of women won't do it. But like I said, me and my sisters are some of the few. And it's an adrenaline rush, especially when you're catching fish the same size as you, And the one I caught today wasn't nothing that I'd be completely proud of, but my day will come, when I come back this fall and I get more time to become one with the water. It's going to be different. And that's what it is for me, is you literally become one with the water and out of all respect of life and that circle of life.
The Treaty of 1855 for the Yakama Nation, can you tell me what that means for you as a Yakama?
It's very, very significant to me, because without that treaty, we probably wouldn't be fishing as much as we still do today. There's a lot of issues, on this river when it comes down to our fishing season and the so-called white man fishing season. And for prime example, this year my dad was pretty upset because we didn't get our set fishing seasons. But when we have so many salmon enhancement programs going on, there's a reason, for all them things. But sometimes it's harder on us than it is anybody, because we're used to fishing year round. But as far as that goes, we're still here, and we're still fishing on this big river and on the Klickitat tributary. And my aunties and my uncles, they all still dry their fish, can their fish, and we take care of our family still with it today, and it is a very valuable resource to us.
As the new president of NAJA, what do you see in the future? What's your goals for the organization?
There's actually a lot of goals. I've been discovering since I've been sitting here for the past few weeks, and I was appointed by the president last year to sit in Minnie's position after we lost her. And being from, I call them the old school hard knocks of journalism, because that's who, for me, they were. But there's a lot of things that need to be brought back into context. For instance, there was a resolution that I came across that we're supposed to be offering some legal assistance to some of our NAJA members, and why it fell off the map as far as when NAJA moved to Oklahoma, we're not sure. And so and then our membership as well. We used to be at one point in time when Minnie and them we're all still involved. We're up to roughly 700 members. We've dwindled down to 230, I think it is, and that's roughly. And for me, knowing the people that I've known in these positions, I know there's a lot more of us out there. And why we haven't gathered to fight that one fight of being the voice of our people. And that's what it's truly about, is us telling our stories, because if we don't, who will? And that was the whole specifics of why Richard said it's important for us to exist, because, and it's very common today, even today, that you're reading about these things that are occurring across Indian country, and for some odd reason, they're not being in the local papers. But, you know, and so a lot of them kind of things, I feel like we're not in the focal point like we used to be, where our members are not, it doesn't seem like they have the confidence that they once did in this organization. And for me, NAJA has become my second family. And I'm going to do everything I can at this point to bring them things back, specifically for Minnie and Richard, because they are now passed on. And I get a lot of crazy signs from them, too, on occasion. You know, when I came back after getting seated in Minnie's position, I was right here in this spot, me and my mom. And I came back and I threw my tobacco in the water and said my prayers for what had happened down there, because that blew my mind, too. I never expected it. And but I looked up in the sky and my mom said, "Do you see that?" And it really kind of blew our mind, but there was a big smiley face in the sky, you know, and things like that are, for me and who I've become, they're spiritually empowering to me. And when I got seated as the president, you know, I had to tell my boss, I said, "You won't believe this," but I woke up the next morning and I could hear him laughing at me. And it was the same laugh that he gave me when I took the picture of George Bush, and he was standing out on the patio in Seattle. And I come running out there and I said, "Richard, you're not going to believe what I just did. I just got I got the only picture out of all these students of Unity. I got the picture of GW that's going to run across the AP wire." And he was putting something in his bag. He was standing there with my boss, Ronnie. And he started cracking up laughing and almost literally choked on his cigarette. But when I got seated and I went to sleep that night, I woke up and I could hear him laughing, that same laugh. And so that told me, you know, now I have a job to do. Now that I'm here, and if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. So I'm going to live up to my responsibility at this point.
If you had one message for any future young Native journalist, what would that be?
The children of Indian country, for me, really need to understand why we are here, why these things were laid out for us the way they were, why our elders teach us the things that they teach us. And you know, when I was younger growing up, I used to follow my mind and not my heart. And now I understand why you have to follow this here. And that's what's going to give you the direction that you need. There's a lot of things that are going on. But what it's going to take is it's going to take you to help yourself before anybody else can help you. And there's something here that if you just grasped onto it, and walk that way of life, whether it be journalism, arts and crafts, just living up to that gift that you were given, you're going to come a long way in life. And that is my message to you, to stand up for what you believe in and to follow your heart and your dreams.
Thank you, Darla. Appreciate it. Kimberlie Acosta with IndianCountryTV.com. Thank you. It was great.
In recognition of not only Minnie and Richard, I wanted to recognize the other mentors that are still here with me today, including Kara Briggs and Paul Demain and Tom Arviso, Dan the Man and Dan the other man, Dan Agent and Dan Lawrence. I want to make sure that they truly know that I listen and I watch everything that they do today still, because I'm still learning. And they're very inspirational to me, although the two that taught me a lot, you know, they're still here to continue teaching me, and I truly appreciate each and every one of them. And I just truly want them to know that, and know that, you know, I truly care about NAJA. If I didn't mention your name, no, you're still in my heart.